I've chosen for my reading this morning a passage from Sonia Tinsley Hook, who's an African-American activist and coach throughout the land. And it's titled, "You Have to Pick Your Team." Every day presents infinite reasons to believe that change can't happen, even infinite reasons to give up. But I always tell myself, Sonia, you have to pick your team. Seems to me that there are two basic teams in the world, and that you can find evidence to support the arguments of both teams. I mean, the trademark of one team is cynicism. They'll tell you why what you're doing doesn't matter, why nothing is going to change, why no matter how hard you work, you're going to fail. They seem to get satisfaction out of explaining how we'll always have injustice. You can't change human nature. They say it's foolish to try. From their experience, they might be right. Then there's another group of people who admit that they don't know how things will turn out, but they've decided to work for change, to keep on working for change. I see Martin Luther King Jr. on that squad. Alice Walker, Mother Teresa, Jesus, Mother Mary, on and on. I see my chaplain from college and my activist friends. They're always telling stories of faith being rewarded, of ways things could be different, of how their own lives have changed. They'll give you reasons why you shouldn't give up, testimonials why we've yet to see our full potential as a species. They believe we're partners in God's creation and we have a job to do. Now, there are times when both teams seem right. Both have evidence. We'll never know who's really going to prevail. So I just have to decide which team seems happier. Which side I'd really rather be on. And for me, that means choosing on the side of faith, hope, and love. Because on the side of cynicism, even if they're right, who wants to win that argument anyway? If I'm going to stick with somebody, I'd rather stick with people who have a sense of possibility and hope. I just know that's the side I want to be on. It's a joy to be back. I've been in my 57 years of ministry, probably two or three times in Thousand Oaks and different iterations of where you've been. This is as intimate as I've been. And I love this. If you outgrow it, great. But don't lose the intimacy and the juice that Anthony and your music and everybody brings. This is rare. I've been in where you're 6 to 7 feet above contradiction, looking way out, and you can barely see. I mean, it's just huge gatherings. I love this, the presence, the personal connection we have here. And I want to thank Reverend Nika, who's the reason I'm here, really. And I just have got to know her since Loretta and I moved from San Diego to Santa Barbara, Reverend Nika, just in the last year and a half. So I don't really know her that well. Good person. Good minister. Yeah, I can see you're blessed. It's a mutual blessing. And thank you for giving her this change of pace, this Sabbath, to restore her soul. Because she'll come back ready to give and receive more. And Anthony was an early connector for me. Thank you. And we'll be doing it again on March 8th. And Merlin, wow, I mean, yeah. Really, I mean, yeah, we're not done. And my life mate, my wife, Loretta, it's a joy to have you here. I was married to Carolyn 50 years, and she died a few years ago. And I don't want to get into the weeds, but I just, they're still loving me. And my therapist said, Carolyn's died, and you're alive. How do you plan to stay alive and alive? And I'm with Loretta, and we moved from San Diego to be near my daughter and her brood, the one that least knew my smell of the children in my family. And we're going on home together. And that's why we're up here. And then to have Jerry Tenner, my goodness. Jerry and I go back about 55, 60 years. He was a young person in our congregation in Pasadena. And he said, you know, I think I want to be a conscientious objector, and there's this Vietnam War, and you're a minister, can we match up? And now officiated at his marriage to Nancy on August 24th, 2024, right here in Camarillo. And wow, we've been through a lot. And we're just continuing. And then to have our niece, Rose, from Santa Monica. I mean, nieces and nephews don't make the trip that often. I know. I've got grandkids who take my books to the dump. I mean, you know, so you know, so it's precious. And then her partner, Stefano, is here. I mean, you know. Yeah, I know. And here's Gertrude, whom I've never met. Yeah. We have?
I'm the longest member of this fellowship.
The longest member. When did you join, Thelma?
1970.
1970. Wow. That's great. I apologize, Thelma. I mean, yeah. So, no, and anyway, I'm getting carried away. But I'll be back on March 8th, and I'm going to, I'm going to talk about the Ten Commandments. I've composed a book on it. Why the Ten Commandments? God and adultery and killing and robbery? I mean, come on, can you make those come alive? Well, I'm going to try. Yeah. March 8th, I'll be back. So, anyway, enough on that. I want us to be thinking about some 30-year-olds. Renee Good, 37. Alex Peretti, 37. Martin Luther King, 39. We forget. Some of us have been, we got twice what they got. What are we doing with it? And I often start my sermons hither and yon with a short patch from Kate Wolf, the folk singer and activist who died at the age of 44. Give yourself to love if love is what you're after. Open up your heart to the tears and laughter. Oh, give yourself to love. Give yourself to love. Hope is believing in the evidence in spite of the evidence and watching the evidence change. No, helping the evidence change. Every morning you want to start the day with a full dose of hopefulness. I mean, you want to make sure you choose the team of hopers. You got to do it intentionally every morning. I mean, doing it every other month isn't enough. Every morning, choose that squad of hopers rather than the team of cynics. Hopers unite. Or as Buddhist comedian Wes Nisker puts it, if you don't like the news, go out and make some yourself. It soothes my soul to know that progress isn't a pipe dream. It's a genuine possibility when we make hopeful news in our own home, in our own hearts, and on the streets of America. When hope isn't merely an assumption, it isn't an attitude, it's an action, step after step after step, or as my brother puts it, peace, P-E-A-C-E. Peace after peace after peace. And I ask myself, what actions, both private and public, am I taking this afternoon on January 25th, 2026? Am I saying yes to being kinder? You know, the Dalai Lama was asked, okay, you talk a lot about being kind, and what else is there? Well, there's kindness. Well, what else? And there's kindness. And there's kindness. And I think he would have said, well, if you want more, after you practice those, come on and we'll talk. Are we saying yes to greater joy and justice where we work, play, and serve and worship? Are we saying yes to a one planet family and to the well-being of all life everywhere? You see, as Unitarian Universalists, we've intentionally thrown our lot. We've thrown our lot with an unrelentingly incorrigible, hopeful faith. Yeah. Every unit of life is holy, the Unitarian side. And the Universalists said, universal embrace, universal salvation. Either everybody gets in or nobody gets in. And I'm not referring to optimism. The optimist is fanciful and dreamy-eyed, often leaving the world's problems up to George or God or Goddess or Georgette to solve, while remaining a bouncy, mindless cheerleader on the sidelines. The optimist is always shouting, hey, no problem, no sweat, resembling the person who gazes at the stars but is perennially at the mercy of the puddles and the road. Instead, the hoper isn't convinced that something will happen, but is willing to work their rear off to make sure that it might just come to be. The optimist lays back. The hoper is progressive, advances forward, evolves. The hoper differs from the pessimist as well as the optimist. Realism would demand often a huge dose of pessimism. But the hopeful person talks not in terms of a crisis, which is a concept that usually overwhelms and immobilizes us, right? I mean, a crisis. But in terms of issues, challenges, jobs, and with your name on them. Some of them, you don't have to take them all. Pick and choose. There's one on this Wednesday afternoon for you. I got a big one on Tuesday night. Everything grows manageable when reduced to doable tasks. Hope arouses a passion for the possible. Hopers unite. America needs us. Urgently, desperately, here and now, in our homes and work sites, in our voting booths, as well as on our streets. And hopers know that the best antidepressant available on the market involves movement of mouth, movement of body, movement of conscience, movement of heart, moving inside and moving outside our whining and ranting to connect with the larger world in specific loving deeds. Manageable. Hopers unite. Cynicism is spiritual treason. No problem in human relations is ever truly insoluble. We're not going to save everybody, and we're not going to get it all done. Get over it. But you and I belong to a religion that refuses to quit on justice. We're not going to quit on joy. We're not going to quit on mercy. We're not going to quit on civilization. We keep on keeping on because we're incurable hopers. We keep standing at the gates of hope. And sometimes people enter, and sometimes they don't. I was on the streets yesterday of Santa Barbara with Loretta and the Indivisible rally and protest. And yeah, we get honks, and we get the finger too. And we get ignoring, who the hell are those guys in the corner? And I pay most attention, I guess, at 84 to the young ones. To the kids riding by on scooters and kids walking by and hanging out of cars and everything. And I say, I'll be gone. I'm here for you. I want a better world for you. And yesterday, usually you get, who's that old fart out there? But yesterday I got this one kid, 12, 15-year-old. He was kind of walking up and down the streets. And he didn't know whether he wanted to be a part or he was just there. He was on the streets. And he said, and I said, I'm here for you. And he said, thank you. I got it. You can go now. That's what we're talking about. In counseling, when someone felt despondent, the best therapeutic advice I could muster, Carolyn was a lot better than I was. I was decent. But as a pastor, I'd say, I'd try to help my companion break down their malaise into manageable units and then poke them to locate one or two beginning assignments that they could successfully achieve in order to nibble away at the misery. Small. Do small rather than think big. Take a step rather than fantasize a leap. If not now on January 25th, 2026, who? When? If not us. At the Uptown Service Center for the Homeless that I was blessed to be a part of starting back in 1984, where Loretta and I, the last couple of years, would sing weekly in the courtyard while clients were lining up for showers and food and clothing. And in between ballads, I'd often strike up a conversation. And one morning, we'll call the guy Michael, okay? Michael came by and we were schmoozing, and I'd known Michael over weeks, months, years, I don't know. But I knew him and he knew me. And I just, sometimes it just, without being intrusive, I said, what keeps you going, brother? And he said, HOPE. Healthy options practiced every day. I don't know where he got that mantra. Doesn't matter. And he'd be the first to say he didn't resemble it every day. There are other ways of talking about HOPE too. In Northern Ireland, they've used the initials to reference healing our past experiences. And the plaque we have right here is from San Quentin, where my brother and his wife, prior to the shutdown during COVID, they really shut things down there. But they're very progressive in the way they deal with the young murderers, primarily 18 to 25-year-old, primarily men. My brother and his wife would volunteer to go in and counsel and give hope and hear the story I committed a murder and that is not who I am. Lives are being transformed through that program, the Kit Kat program and the Restoration Justice there in San Quentin. And this plaque I got because one of the inmates there made them and was selling them, and I bought this, and it's HOPE. And when companioning youth suffering from drug or alcohol addiction, one teenager reminded me that hope is way better than dope. Dead or prison eventually. And now whenever I spend time teaching seniors magic tricks to arouse our hands and hearts and minds and souls, we came up with hands-on play everywhere. What might the acronym HOPE mean for you going forward? Now, to be truthful today, I had all kinds of other examples of embodied hope, but Minneapolis popped up. And the call went forth from our Unitarian Universalist Ministers Association recently for colleagues throughout the land, and 200 showed up from all throughout the land. We're not talking about 55 degrees, right? And it showed up in solidarity for our siblings suffering the government-sponsored invasion of masked assaulters in that great city. And our finest democratic response to such brutal tyranny is we the people, resisting peacefully and relentlessly, and we are, even when one of our siblings, Renee Good, is killed. And another sibling, Alex Preti, is killed. And a few days ago, I received an email from our Orange County colleague. Perhaps you know him. I don't know if he's pretty sure. Jason Cook. He was in Fullerton, and I was in Orange and Tapestry. And he was alerting his congregation that he was leaving from his study leave to go to Minneapolis. He was called from within his soul to do that, to bear witness amidst a coordinated, non-violent presence of interfaith clergy. And I replied briefly, I said, Jason, I'm on my knees, weeping tears of gratitude and hopefulness as you're answering the moral imperative to bear witness in Minneapolis, as I did as a 23-year-old in Selma, Alabama, back in 1965, when God was stirring the waters there as well. And Jason, I won't be there in the flesh this time, but I'll be alongside you in spirit. And I can't help chanting a sliver of the traditional African-American spiritual from the slavery period that spurred me to mount in the spring of '65 the bus from San Francisco to Selma. Guide my feet while I run this race, for I don't want to run this race in vain. Martin Luther King, the clarion call went out, put your body where the trouble is, and he was targeting sympathetic white Americans in that time. And my young adult shaky hand went up. I don't know why. And I cautiously boarded the bus. First time I'd ever been in the South. I was a West Coaster, although I went to college in the East. I was a bookish, pious guy. I was a greenhorn. I was unformed in life, and I was totally unformed in the rigors of justice building, let alone a communist-trained anarchist, to use Governor George Wallace's damning phrase. I went because of two spiritual sparks. No doubt about it. WWJD, what would Jesus do? Reinforced by WWMS, what would Mother say? And my quivering decision seemed in alignment with both the Nazarene and my mom. They were wiser, braver, more morally advanced than I sure was. And my mom, years later, not weeks, but years later, said, Tommy, I've never been prouder of you. Those two moral exemplars sent me on a week that totally transformed my life for the better. We got into town in the South, and one of the moral lieutenants, I love that phrase, King called them moral lieutenants. And one of them was James Bevel. There's Andy Young, and there's John Lewis, and Ralph Abernathy, and there were some women too. But mainly this was James Bevel. And he said, okay, we of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference have two rules. First, commit to nonviolence in everything you do, say, and are. And number two, do whatever you're called to do. And if you can't abide by those two guidelines, we kindly ask you to get back on the bus and go back home. So we weren't foot soldiers, except for the final leg into Montgomery. We were field laborers. We cleared the fields of cow dung, set up the tents. So the marchers returning every evening we were entertained. Peter, Paul, and Mary. Dick Gregory, you pay thousands for any of them. We had them all. Dick Gregory, Joan Baez, Harry Belafonte. This is a 23-year-old. So I was not only shaped in terms of justice building, but in terms of joy sharing. That was formative in who I am now. Our bodies grew bone weary, and our souls were set ablaze. And I'll never forget Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel. Perhaps know of him. He's one of the key prophetic Jewish voices in the 20th century. He was in the front line with King, marching. And he said, I felt like my legs were praying. Where are your legs praying today? Where are my legs praying today? If our legs can't do it, from the chair. If the chair won't work, from the bed. I'm not sure in 2026, in the 85th year, where I've outlived my dad. All the men in our family, really, except for my brother at 87, still counseling people. He's coming to visit us this week. I don't know where I'm going to be dispatched and where I'm going to serve. I'm simply getting ready to raise my hand, put my body, whatever I got, wherever the trouble might be. The good and necessary trouble that John Lewis talked about. So today I'm just inviting us to sign up. Here we are, already amidst our 250th anniversary of a land that's struggling to maintain our core identity of liberty and justice for all. And so, during this year, let's pay special attention honoring the wisdom of George Washington and George Floyd. To aspire to resemble, not duplicate, resemble the character and conduct of Sojourner Truth. Oh God, what a story. Reread the story of Sojourner Truth. Oh, Susan B. Anthony, Renee Good. And when the moment stirs our soul, protest peacefully and resist joyfully, that our descendants will say, ah, he was there, she was there, they were there. I've got a 6-year-old great-granddaughter in Portland, Oregon, Kalia Montine Taylor. She doesn't know much of me. But there'll be more for her to know. Okay, I want to close with a story. Imagine 3 candles burning brightly and slowly. The ambience is so soft, you can hear the candles speak. The first candle says, I'm faith. But these days, I'm no longer considered indispensable. Then faith's flame slowly diminishes and dies out. The second candle pipes up, I'm love. And I don't have the strength to stay lit much longer, and people fail to understand my power and reduce me to schmaltz and syrup. And waiting no longer, the candle of love weakens and goes out completely. Suddenly a child enters the room and sees the 2 candles no longer burning and begins to weep and wail, faith and love, why aren't you burning? You're supposed to stay lit until the very end. I can't find my way without the 2 of you. Then a third candle speaks gently yet firmly to the little girl. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid, my child, for I am hope. And while I still burn, we can relight the other 2 candles. The Apostle Paul said, faith, hope, and love abide. And the greatest of these is love. Well, folks, they're all great. And they're all crucial. But hope, the unsung virtue of the 3, dare not get lost. For we can't keep faith. We don't share love if we're not brimming with durable hope. Hopers, sign up. Join the team. Do whatever hope calls you to be and do.